Welcome to Parlay TV.
Plenty of things look easy at first. Skydiving, lion taming. From the comfort of your armchair, all sorts of risks look easy as
Cristiano Ronaldo, Diogo Jota, and Bruno Fernandes literally
blew Russia off the park in a clinical display of attacking football.
Wow.
Sorry, what did you say, Kobe?
Wow, bro.
Let's break it down.
I am Pat Mayo, and I'm here to give you the best pick at the top of the board, the best bet, if you will.
So I'm going to go with just under 25 for Middleton here.
Welcome, everybody, to the latest installment of Layin The Points with Luca Rosano on this fine Monday, April 11th. The sun is shining, and we have a lot to get to on today's show. The Toronto Raptors know their first-round playoff opponent. We're going to get into that. We're going to talk about the NBA play-in tournament, which will be taking place over the next 5 days. We will be talking NBA award predictions. I will be giving you my official predictions for each award now that the NBA regular season has concluded. Then we will get into Jays and Yankees. The game one of a 4-game set begins tonight in the Bronx. And then, as always on this show, I will be giving you my best bet of the night. And I'll be doing something with that best bet of the night that I have never done before. Much more on that later on. But we are going to kick things off here with the Toronto Raptors. They are the biggest talking point of the city right now. Why? Because they are entering the postseason, and they know who they will be playing in the first round of the playoffs. The Raptors will be taking on the Philadelphia 76ers for the third time in history in the postseason. This will be part 3 of what has been already a very entertaining postseason series saga, if you will, between these two sides. The first chapter, 2001, Vince Carter misses the potential game-winning shot, which would have sent the Raptors to the Eastern Conference Finals. That one was in Philly. That was a Game 7. The next chapter, 2019, Kawhi makes up for it, hits a crazy game-winning shot in Toronto in a Game 7 to send the Raptors to the Eastern Conference Finals, as they later did win the NBA championship. So how will part 3 go down? This is going to be one of the better first-round playoff series, in my opinion. I don't know. Anytime the Raptors take on the Sixers in the playoffs, I mean, magic seems to happen. And I think this series is going to be no different. So you look at this series, the Raptors are actually plus 150 to win the series. And this is courtesy of FanDuel Canada. Those odds, of course. The Sixers are the favorites to win the series at minus 178. The Sixers will have home court advantage for this playoff series, and the series will begin on Saturday, 6 p.m. Eastern time, which is kind of weird because usually when the Raptors play in the playoffs, they get that typical 1 o'clock Saturday afternoon game, but they're going to be playing in Philly, Game 1, Saturday, 6 p.m. Do not make any plans. Those are going to be your plans for Saturday night. So let's talk about this series. Before we get into my official pick, we are going to talk about some things to keep an eye out for. So let's first start with the best player of the series. It's Joel Embiid. Obviously, Joel Embiid, he has been a monster. He has officially won the NBA scoring title, first big man to do that since Shaq. He's averaging 30.6 points per game, 11.7 rebounds, 4.2 assists, and 1.5 blocks per game. And he's likely going to be a finalist for the MVP award for the second straight season, and he could very well win the award. Embiid powered the Sixers to a top 4 spot in the Eastern Conference. He is going to be the big guy for the Sixers. He is going to be the guy who determines how the series goes, because we've seen in the past, the Raptors have done an excellent job of clamping up Embiid. If they can try to slow him down, the Sixers will have problems. But if Embiid puts up his typical monster stats, then the Raptors could be in some trouble. Now, a guy who I'm going to be looking at more so than Embiid in this playoff matchup, on the Sixers side that is James Harden. James Harden will be entering his first playoff series with Philadelphia. And what's concerning about James Harden, especially if you're a Sixers fan, is how his last 17 games have gone with this team. His first 4 games, near flawless. he was averaging 26.8 points, 12 assists, 7.5 rebounds, and shooting the ball at 59% from the field and 50% from three. He had everybody talking. But his last 17 games, concerning. Only averaging 19 points, so it's gone down by 7 points. 10 assists, gone down by 2. 7 rebounds, gone down by 0.5. But the most alarming numbers are his percentages. In his last 17 games, James Harden is shooting the basketball from the field at 36.3%. And he's shooting from three at a horrible 29.1 percentage. That is not going to cut it in a series against the Raptors. And what's going to be even more frightening if you're a Sixers fan is Scotty Barnes, who we have seen a whole ton of him on Harden already, is going to most likely have the assignment of guarding James Harden. We already know how frightening of a defender Scotty can be. So if James Harden is not that go-to sidekick in this matchup, not only is he going to have the Sixers fans heckling him, but the Sixers are going to have a very tough time winning the series. Now, another big thing that will not be going in the Sixers' favor, Matisse Thybulle. We have already not seen Thybulle the last time the Sixers played the Raptors in Toronto. And he's a very good defender for the Sixers team. He will not be able to play in Toronto in any one of those Toronto games because of the vaccine mandate. So you're removing one of your better defenders and a key piece already from a Sixers team that is going to be going up against a Raptors team that will have all their guys back. A Raptors team that already beat these new look Sixers without OG and Fred VanVleet twice. Those two guys are going to be ready to go for this one. This is going to be a lot for the Sixers to handle. And I know a lot of people already are dismissing the Raptors' chances, most notably Shaq, who immediately followed, with his prediction of this series, saying the Raptors were going to get swept. I don't know how you can be so confident in saying that, especially when you see that the Raptors won this season series 3-1, and the way they were able to beat Philadelphia without some of their key pieces. Now, for the Raptors, it's going to be imperative that Pascal Siakam plays like the Pascal Siakam that we saw in the regular season, especially in the new year. Siakam finished the season averaging 22.8 points per game, the most on a Raptors team, a shade under his career high. Sorry, the most on the Raptors for this season, not of all time. He also averaged 8.5 rebounds and 5.3 assists per game, which were also his career highs. And he got better as the season progressed. And the Sixers are well aware of what Siakam's capable of, because the last time these two teams met, Siakam went off for 37, 12, and 10. An amazing triple-double performance. So if Siakam can play like the Siakam that we've seen, and key Raptors can contribute, guys like Fred VanVleet, he's had a whole ton of time now to get some rest. Hopefully he's 100% by Saturday. Gary Trent Jr. can come up big, hitting key shots. OG, we saw him back in that game against the Knicks on Sunday night. He looked pretty good. The Raptors are going to be a tough out. Now, let's look at some other keys to this matchup. Will the Raptors play small? We know the Raptors don't have any small players on their rotation. Their roster is comprised of 6'7" players or taller. But whatever lineup the Raptors go out with, that's going to suggest what the Sixers do. Are the Sixers going to match that? Are they going to play small? Are they going to play big? That is going to be something to monitor. Another thing is matchups don't really mean much for the Raptors. You can put up anybody on the court. This team is going to be ready on both sides of the court. And then one thing that I think will determine this series is the bench play. The Sixers bench could determine the series. I mean, if they can get key contributions from their bench, they will be a tough out. But if their bench and those supporting cast players to Embiid don't step up, and a guy like James Harden has an off series, This one might go the distance. So overall, I really like the Raptors' chances in this playoff matchup. I was hoping they were going to get the Sixers. If it was the Celtics, I think they would have been in a whole ton of trouble. But they have who they want. They have a team that they have proven to beat. They got the coaching advantage in this one. And they got a team that's been playing their best basketball at the season at the right time. 5th best record in the NBA since the start of the new year. The Raptors have played some of their best basketball on the road, so I don't think they're going to be intimidated starting this playoff series on the road. So I'm going to go with the Raptors in 6. I think they closed it out in Toronto in that Game 6 matchup. I can see them stealing Game 1. I can see them actually winning both in Toronto. Philadelphia would get one back in Philly, and then I see the Raptors up 3-2, closing the deal back in Toronto for that 6th game. I really feel good about this matchup. And another thing not a lot of people are talking about is the Raptors, they have the playoff experience. People tend to forget. They think the Raptors are a young, inexperienced team. Their 2 best players, Siakam and Van Vliet, 2 of their best players, they've won a championship. They were key contributors, a part of that 2019 championship team, playing right beside Kawhi. So do not underestimate the playoff experience that not only those 2 bring to the table, but Nick Nurse as well. So I'm excited for this playoff series. We'll see what happens, but that's my official prediction on the show. I'm going Raptors in 6. All right, let's get into the play-in tournament now. So the play-in tournament is going to be pretty darn interesting. And I can't remember the last time we were going to have some polarizing play-in teams. Like, you talk about the Clippers and the Nets being in this play-in tournament. They have no business being in this play-in tournament. These are 2 teams that could contend for a championship. Now, more so the Nets, but I say the Clippers because of the unknown of Kawhi. So I'm just going to give you my quick, straight-up picks for these games. I'm going to go more in depth with these games as we go along this week, and we know what the official spread is. So, for instance, I'll go more in detail about the Clippers game and the Nets game tomorrow versus today. Today, all I'm going to do is just give you my pick straight up of how I see the play-in tournament playing out. So the first matchup, Nets. We got the Nets in that game against the Cavaliers. I got the Nets winning that. I think they're going to take care of business against the Cavs. I just think the Nets, this is what they wanted. They wanted to, take on the Celtics more so than the Bucks. The Bucks dodged the Nets, as we saw in that game on Sunday. They did not show up against the Cavs, but I think the Nets are going to beat the Cavaliers. The Cavaliers, unfortunately, have fallen off a cliff. I don't think they're going to be able to save their season in time. So that's my pick for that one. For the next one, Clippers, Timberwolves. I'm going with the Clippers because I got a future championship bet on the Clippers. But no, in all seriousness, I think the Clippers will be able to beat Minnesota. But this is going to be a tough matchup, man. Minnesota's no joke, but this is my mini upset. I do think the Clippers will take one away from Minnesota. The Clippers, they have that playoff experience. The Timberwolves don't. Paul George is going to be there. And I just like the depth of the Clippers in that matchup. So that means the Nets and the Clippers both get the 7 seeds. Then the other games, Hornets, Hawks. I got the Hawks winning that one. I think the Hawks have been playing great basketball at the right time. And then Spurs, Pelicans. Don't sleep on the Pelicans. I think they come away with the win there. So then that would mean Hornets, Cavaliers, winner gets the 8th spot Hawks, because I have the Hawks beating the Hornets. Hawks, Cavaliers, winner gets the 8th spot in the East. Like I said, I don't like how the Cavaliers have finished up the season. I think the Hawks take it. They got a gamer in Trae Young, who I think can single-handedly put this game away on his own. So I got the Hawks making the playoffs as that final 8 seed. And then Pelicans taking on the Timberwolves. I do think the Wolves get in. I think the Pelicans are going to be a very strong challenge for the Wolves. They got McCollum. They got a lot of good offensive weapons on that team. But Minnesota is no joke. I think they're going to finish up their impressive regular season by actually getting into the playoffs as the 8th seed. So those are the teams I have winning. That's how I see it shape up. I got the Nets, Hawks, 7-8 in the East. And then in the West, I got Clippers, Timberwolves, 7-8. All right. Like I said, I'll go more in depth with the spread and all that as we get into the matchups the first two tomorrow night. But right now, I actually want to give you my NBA award predictions now. And these odds are courtesy of FanDuel Canada. So you can get your bets in while you can, now that you saw what happened in the regular season. I mean, now's your time to make the pick. There's going to be no more trying to convince you, no more games to be played of the regular season. The postseason doesn't count towards any of these players' cases when it comes to these NBA awards. So, yeah, let's get right into it. We're going to go in reverse here. Instead of starting with MVP, we'll save that for last. Try to be a little exciting here on this show. We're going to start with the Sixth Man of the Year award. It's Tyler Herro. I mean, this is a lock at -1,000. He's been proving it all season long. Such a incredible offensive talent. Injected life to that Heat team so many times. Such a weapon, man. Like, you're going to have Tyler Herro as your sixth man going into the playoffs. He can do so many good things. He's a lock for that award, in my opinion. Another lock, Most Improved Player of the Year, it's Ja Morant. He elevated his game to the next level. I mean, at one point, he was in conversations to win the MVP. That's how much he elevated his game. -1,000. There's not really value there with Herro or Morant, but those are the guys who are going to win this award. Another lock, and there's literally no value here, but it's inevitable. Monty Williams for Coach of the Year. Look what he did with the Phoenix Suns. 60-plus wins. No other team came close to that mark. Monty Williams didn't get it last year. You better believe he's going to get it this year. The next three awards is where it could get interesting and where there's more of a parity factor. Rookie of the Year award. Now, I might be a little bit biased with this pick, but I've said it many times on the show. I'll say it again. I'm going with Scottie Barnes. He's actually the second favorite. Evan Mobley, for whatever reason, is still the favorite. I don't know why, but Scottie Barnes +210 is my pick. You just look at how he closed the season off, put up incredible numbers, and he, had the luxury of not being injured. His Raptors team finished ahead of Mobley's Cavs. Barnes wins that award, in my opinion. Now, the next two are where it's going to get very interesting. The Defensive Player of the Year award. I mean, this is an award that has been so talked about and has changed by the day. I mean, this is an award that was so wide open going into the last 2 weeks of the season. And now Marcus Smart has actually emerged as one of the favorites, and he's actually going to be my pick. What Smart has shown us has been great on the defensive side. And there might be a recency bias that gets him this award, but I think he wins it. I mean, there's other names like Giannis Antetokounmpo, who I thought was going to win it originally. Then you have Mikal Bridges. He's also up there. Then you got, obviously, Rudy Gobert, who's a mainstay when it comes to winning this award. But I actually think it's going to go to Marcus Smart. I mean, you look at the Celtics, second in the East. That's going to play into it as well. They've dealt with some injuries of their own. Marcus Smart has always been that key defender, on-ball defender that you can count on in big moments. And then the MVP award. This is going to be such an interesting decision, man. It's so close. Like, if you can give a Cole MVP, this would be the year to do it. Because Jokic is putting up better numbers than he did last year when he won the award. But there's only been such a small sample size of players who have won it back-to-back. And then you look at Embiid, he's putting up great numbers. He just won the scoring title as a big. This is going to be such a coin flip. But ultimately, I'm going to go with Embiid at +260, who actually slightly has less or worse odds than Jokic. Jokic is the favorite. I'm going to go with Embiid just because he's never won this award before. He came so close to winning it last year. I just don't think the voters are going to have Jokic beat Embiid again. I know that's a lame excuse, but sometimes you need a fresh new face winning these awards. But that's how close it's been. It can literally go either way. I will go with Embiid just because he's never won one of these. And his Sixers did finish ahead of the Nuggets. I know they play in two different conferences, and the Nuggets had a whole ton of injuries, but that's got to play into it as well. You look at what Embiid had to endure, not having his co-star next to him, all that drama with Simmons. Yeah, I got to go with Embiid for this MVP award. So give me Embiid for MVP +260. Those are my awards. Quickly to recap: Embiid, MVP +260. Marcus Smart, Defensive Player of the Year, -200. Scottie Barnes, Rookie of the Year, +210. Monty Williams, Coach of the Year, -2,000. Ja Morant, Most Improved Player of the Year, -1,000. Tyler Hero, Sixth Man of the Year, -1,000. Let me know who you got winning these awards in the comments. All right. Let me take a sip of water here. We're going strong today. We're going strong. There's a lot to talk about. JaysYankees. First time these two teams will meet on this young MLB season, and tonight marks game one of a 4-game set between these two sides, and both teams actually come into this one 2-1. I was so pissed. The Jays should have been 3-0, man. It would have been the first time in over 20 years, I believe, that they would have started the season 3-0, and they had that game. And the pitching just fell apart. And that, I hope it's not a theme of the season, but for as good as the Jays could be, for as many good projections we use on them, for as scary as that lineup is, arguably the best lineup, scariest lineup in all of baseball, where the Jays could run into issues is their pitching. And we saw that in Sunday's game. Had a healthy, comfortable lead against the Rangers, and then it just quickly evaporated. So that is going to be something to monitor. But you look at this matchup against the Yankees, the Jays are actually the underdogs. And you look at who's going to be going up against each other on the mound here. You're going to have Manoah going for the Blue Jays and Talion going for the Yankees. But you look at Manoah going into this matchup. He's going to be super stoked, by the way, to get his first start in the Bronx of the season. But Manoah, he is one of the best pitchers at striking out batters. He's a hard-throwing pitcher. And he racked up at least 7 strikeouts and 9 of his 20 starts, including 4 straight to end the year, all wins this coming last season. You look at the Jays in tonight's matchup, they're going to have the pitching advantage because Talion, I think he struggles tonight. He throws that fastball a lot, and the Jays thrive off it. No team in the league hit fastballs better than the Jays last year. And Vlad Guerrero, you're looking for some player props, maybe you put some money on an anytime home run from him because he hit fastballs better than any player in the league. We could see him go yard tonight. So overall, I mean, the Jays have the better lineup, slightly better pitching than the Yankees going into this one. I think there's value here taking the Jays as the underdog on the money line at plus 102. So I like the Jays to go into New York, make a statement, and pick up the first win of this 4-game set. And you know that crowd's going to be rocking because the Yankees don't like that it's these Blue Jays who are actually ahead of their Yanks for being the favorite to win the AL East. The hype is real, though. We've seen in those first 3 games, the Jays are going to be so fun to watch this season. I mean, take that Friday game, that season home opener. That literally felt like an October playoff game in April. The crowd was electric. The game was phenomenal where the Jays came back and won it in thrilling fashion. These Jays games have been roller coasters, man. And we're only 3 games into the damn season. So this is going to be such a fun season to watch for the Toronto Blue Jays. And tonight's going to be another spectacle. All right. So we are going to segue here and conclude with my best bet of the night. And like I said at the top of the show, I'm doing something here I've never done on this show. We're making history, folks. I hope it's for better and not for worse. But my best bet of the night is actually going to come courtesy of the NHL. And for those of you who know me personally, I don't bet on hockey a ton. And I shouldn't probably be saying that because you're not going to take my opinion now. But I'm quite confident with this pick. And it's actually going to be a good value pick. 1 game in the NHL tonight. Montreal taking on Winnipeg. I like the Canadiens to pull off the upset. This is a solid spot for Montreal. They actually outshot the Jets in the past 3 meetings between these two teams. And they're coming off of a very solid performance against Toronto despite the loss. Now, the Habs power play is what I think is going to be the difference maker here. The Jets have the NHL's 4th worst penalty kill, and they're going to struggle to shut down Montreal's Suzuki and Caulfield tandem. So I like Montreal at home to continue their strong play over the Jets. And better yet, spoil the Jets' playoff hopes. Take the Habs tonight at the Bell Center on the money line at plus 123. So just to quickly recap all my picks for today's show, I'm telling you to take the Raptors over the Sixers in a 7-game series. Get those bets in now before the odds get worse. Jump on that plus 150 for the Raptors to win that series. I'm telling you to take Joel Embiid to win the MVP at plus 260. Marcus Smart to win Defensive Player of the Year at minus 200. Scotty Barnes, Rookie of the Year, plus 210. Monty Williams, Coach of the Year, minus 2,000. John Morant, Most Improved Player of the Year at minus 1,000. And Tyler Hero, six-man, minus 1,000. You might want to do a parlay with the award just because of some of the awards having no value at all, just because it is pretty definitive. We're going to get more into my against the spread picks for the NBA play-in tournament tomorrow and in the coming days. I like the Jays tonight on the money line at plus 102 against the Yankees. And then finally, my bet of the night, take the Canadians as an underdog on the money line at plus 123. And that will conclude another edition of Layin The Points with Luca Rosano on this Monday, April 11th. Let me know what you thought of today's show. Let me know who you like in tonight's games. Are you doing a parlay? Are you doing straight up, just one-game bets? Your feedback is greatly appreciated. You can catch this show Monday through Friday, live streamed at 1 p.m. Eastern across Twitter, YouTube, Parlay TV. You definitely don't want to miss it. And as always, thank you so much for watching and listening. This is Luca Rosano of Layin The Points signing off. I'll catch you all again in tomorrow's show.